What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcasts on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Gayle Show, episode 48. Special guest, our first two-time guest, a good friend of the show, a great guy, Howard Bison, HBCU man himself, the legend, the Orlando legend on the Bossman Show. Now with the bow-tie sports guy, D-Led. What's up, brother? Let's see you again.
Hey, Bossman, doing pretty good. Thanks for having me back on the show today. Looking forward to this.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, man, now you're doing the independent media thing, man, as the bow-tie sports guy, new website. So talk to us about that transition from going from a corporate media and AJC to now doing your own thing with your own team now.
Well, yeah, kind of, the business was what it is. And at some point, you might have to be on your own. So I kind of been building my network, social media, even when I was at the paper, D-Led TV, D-Led Productions, anything that was not a direct conflict in covering the beat. So when, I took the buyout from the AJC, I kind of had platforms already out there. I just need to consolidate them, rebrand them. And, the hardest part is finding IT people to listen to you. And my guy, I sent him the newsletter on Tuesday. And, I want to see it before it goes out. And, I was like, this morning I hadn't seen the newsletter and it's supposed to be out by 10 o'clock. So I'm texting him in the morning like, hey, where's this newsletter? So you're working with people now and you can't do everything. You got to rely on them to, and they got to understand, hey, you're in the media. It's a flow. If you're telling people they got a newsletter coming at 10 o'clock, it need to be there at 10 o'clock. And if you got a podcast that's coming out at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, it need to be out there. So, just getting they've been in the business world, they haven't been in the media world, but getting everybody timed up and getting the rhythm going has been, fun over the off season. Cause, once the season gets here, they report to practice tomorrow. Practice starts on Wednesday. It's a rhythm to it and you got to hit it. If you want people to come to your site, you got to, when you tell them stuff's going to be there, it's got to be there.
And D-Led, man, I love the name Bowtie Sports. I know it has a meaning. Talk to the people about that name, why you chose that name for your media platform.
Yeah, we did some research and, everybody knows me and they call me D-Led, right? But if you put in D-Led on the internet, it's going to come up like lights, LED lighting. So I couldn't go DLED.com or D-Led Productions, which is what my former company was. And what kept coming back when they put in all the background research was, hey, this is the guy who wears a bow tie all the time on the games. So Bow Tie Sports Guy came up, and that's what the marketing people came to me with. And I was like, yeah, my mother went for it. She's like, oh, yeah, you can sell bow ties and hats on your website. So I was like, okay, let's go with it, Bow Tie Sports Guy. And we started branding everything that way. But we let people know that, hey, we are covering the Atlanta Falcons and the NFL. We're not doing the Hawks. We're not doing, the Dream. It's the Atlanta Falcons coverage you were getting for the last 22 years after AJC. We're just moving it over here to bowtiesports.com.
No doubt. And I have to ask you, how many bow ties do you own?
Yeah, it's been quite a collection. I got racks. I got 2 hangers in the closet, and then I got boxes with my favorite ones that I have on the ready at the in the dresser there. So we might be auctioning them away. I don't need that many bow ties nowadays, but yeah, that's one of the things that it's an opportunity to either donate them to Goodwill or maybe sell and put them on the merch site.
I think we should get Coach Gayle on the sidelines with a bow tie on going forward.
I'm not going to look as good as Mr. Ledbetter. So, no, sir. I'm not going to look as good as he does. Hopefully, I can, but he is an icon. I can't do that. I can't follow that.
Start a trend, Coach.
Sideline but I love the premise.
Yes. Yes. And then let me ask you this, man, for those who want to subscribe to you, the pages you have on your Bow Tie Sports Guy website, tell them about what all they'll get for subscribing to you and buying your coverage.
Yeah, for subscribing to the coverage, you get the regular beat coverage of the Falcons. We go into the games, the game analysis, everything we had in the AJC, the blog, the Cover 9 at 9 on Wednesdays. The podcast will be there. That's also it'll be free on YouTube and Spotify too. So the free things are the newsletter and the podcast, and then we want you to subscribe to the stories, the covers, the access that we have. Kyle Pitt's story that's up today. We've got the position by position series, which we did at the AJC all the time. We'll be at practice next week. And the inside access to the people we have across the country that'll be coming into the Bow Tie podcast to help us get ready for the games. Our focus is going to be on football. Our focus is going to be on how the Falcons are going to be able to play that week or what they did the last week. We're not, getting into, the tangential things. We're going to keep it right on the football field. Can this 53-man team go out this Sunday and win the game or not? And then we'll tell you what exactly happened in the game, too, and we'll have experts to come in and break that down for you.
And you just made a hire. My buddy's now back with you. I forget how I say his name, but he's back with you. And Sideline Mike on the podcast. Let's talk about that too, Delay, as well.
Yeah, Sideline Mike's from Atlanta, Douglas High. Nobias Wilborn's also from Atlanta. I want to get some Atlanta flavor here because people always say, well, you hate the Falcons. You don't like Atlanta. I was like, no, I love Atlanta. I'm just telling y'all how it went down on the field. So, Nobias, he's been around the country. He's Alabama Sports Writer of the Year in 2022. Sideline Mike's a long-time radio caller here in the Atlanta area. Big Chuck Smith gave him his nickname because of Sideline Mike. And so, we had Big Chuck Smith in the studio yesterday to shoot a show for us that we're going to try to pilot. We're going to pilot and try to sell to sponsors and so forth. So that's the crew. We're rolling with it. Nobias knows what he's doing. He's covered the Titans. He's been in Pittsburgh. He's covered Penn State. So he adds another voice to the website. So it's not just me that the people are getting all the time.
So D-Led, I know you also have the HBCU Legacy Athletes.com, which I know is a big thing. Talk about that and let the people know what you're doing with that as well.
Yeah, as a Bill Nunn Award winner, I felt that was my way to help give back to the HBCUs and the athletes that are currently playing there. It's a fan site. My buddy Larry Hamilton, former defensive end at Howard, he's in Houston, uh, and he played for Coach Floyd Keefe and Coach Steve Wilson's on our board. And so what we do is try to keep track of the best players in the HBCU schools and promote them because we've seen the numbers in the draft last couple of years, and so we want to show the NFL teams that hey, there's some talent here that you all might have been missing on, like Bill Nunn used to be able to get for the Steelers back in the days. So I've been a joy working with Larry and the HBCU Legacyville Athletes website, and that's growing. We're gathering up the pictures and the headshots now for the players who just got named to the All SWAC, MEAC, CIAA, and SIC teams. And then we still count Tennessee State and NCA&T and Hampton, even though they've gone on different paths, and even Langston. We try to keep track of some of our NAIA HBCUs also.
And D-Led, you got named to the Howard University Hall of Fame. How cool is that for you to get that honor, man?
That's very cool because I was named as the Buffalo Soldier recipient, somebody that supported and promoted the athletic programs over the years. I was the public address announcer for the football team for 4 years, and I was the editor-in-chief for the Hilltop, so the student newspaper, and I worked for Sports Information during that time. So I stayed connected to the athletic department over the years and helped some of the other journalists get involved in their careers. Steve Weiss, Jim Trotter, God rest to rest, Paler Soul. Gus Johnson had my job as the announcer, and he's parlayed it into big time stuff at Fox. So, when they called me to say they wanted to recognize me as one of the Buffalo Soldier recipients, I was ecstatic about it. I got in the Hall of Fame first before I got in the Howard Hall of Fame, so they kind of had to put me in, but it was still cool to get that recognition from the university.
So D-Led, with you, congrats, again, that's an amazing honor. We want to give you your flowers now, man. You've had such an illustrious career, and we thank you for just being, excellent in what you do. But talk about just kind of what you see, giving a mentorship and giving advice to young people that want to do what you do. I don't think you, when you started out, knew where it would take you, but I think you knew just continue to work hard and continue to, build your craft. If I'm a young person that just graduated and I want to be you or do what you're doing, what advice would you give?
Yeah, just consistency and execution. Yeah, you might write a good story one day, but can you come back and do it again? You might show up on the radio one day, but can you come back and deliver again? A lot of it's consistency and execution, and that takes a lot of discipline and work. But the kids that do that, it shows that it pays off, even if it's not that job, even if it's not ESPN, even if it's not, the big TV station in Nashville. You got to treat every day like it's the Super Bowl, because when the opportunities comes, you're going to be ready for it and so forth. So that's what I try to explain to the kids is that, hey, you got to be consistent. Yeah, and you got to be able to execute and do it over and over and over again. So you'll be ready when it's time to run that big race.
No doubt. Like, I'll tell you, I remember when I had to turn on automation and push buttons in the studio. Now it's all digital now. It's like, when I got started, it was, hey, turn on automation. I told Coach the same thing. Get it to push this button, take this button out to make sure you're on the air. Now it's just digitalized, so it's changed for me. But I've been in it 15 years. It's changed for me. Because imagine for you, D-Led, been in longer than way longer than me, and how it's changed for you from when you guys started leaving Howard to now.
Yeah, we had typewriters. We used to write our stories on typewriters back in the day. Me and my buddy Barry Carter, he went on work for the New York Star Ledger as a columnist I'd be sitting here, he'd be sitting there, and then we get done, we trade papers and fix them for each other, and then have to retype them again. Yeah, so yeah, the type. I just want. Some days I was like, hey, I just want my typewriter back. Leave me alone and give me my typewriter back. But yeah, it's changed a lot. Back then you were siloed off. You were a print person or radio person or TV person. And nowadays you have to be able to cross platforms and do all three of those. You got to be able to write a story, go on a radio show, and then do a TV hit all in the same day. And maybe some social media things too nowadays. So the more you can do, that's what I tell the kids now. Like, hey, the more you can do, the better, because you don't know which job you're going to get. You might get the social media job at the Hawks. So then you better be able to do that. You might get the radio internship. So, that way you're versatile. And, we've seen how volatile the business is now. So you always got to have a backup plan too. So, that's kind of where I kind of saw that early on. That's why I went to law school at the University of Cincinnati, because I was like, hey, if this doesn't work out, I might have to switch lanes over here. So I always got to have a plan, but definitely want to be as versatile, as you can.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I, it's funny because it's not just young people. Some people that have been in the game, some people have been doing something for, like JR just said, for 10 to 15 years. And just to see how you seamlessly transition through the years, it seems like you're always either ahead or right with the trend. What do you see? What are some of the specific things that you may see? I know you could talk about things in your career, but just talk about the mindset and the philosophy, because it's easy to say everything that you just said, but it's hard to execute.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach Gayle. The landscape. I didn't see the TV shift. I mean, I'm in DC. Me and Mike Wilbon are all writing, but he knew to start getting ready for TV. Same thing with Steve Weiss. They would be working on pronunciating the names on the flip card. I'd be focusing on spelling them right, because I didn't see the convergence coming on. And then as we move forward, you can see, they're not newspapers. People are fighting for your subscriptions online and otherwise via independent and local media. And then just the fact that everything's digital and more visual. So, you need to be able to capture good visuals and, push them out digitally. And then, just the truth. You got to be able to fact check and source check, because there's so much stuff out there. And it's getting ready to get worse with AI. So it's like, hey, is this a real picture? This is an AI picture. And people are, everybody's cookout flyers. You can see the AI pictures now. And so there's not going to be a graphic artist job anymore. So, people who drew and, did artwork and stuff like that, it might be all computer generated now. So it's going to be very interesting. AI thing is scary to me, as I see at the end here. My career is that how do you blend the truth with what's going to be artificial intelligence? And they're putting a lot of money into it to, run and do things, read contracts, do law cases and so forth. So it's going to be very, very hard for the folks moving forward to navigate in this field and others because of the artificial intelligence.
A two-part question for you, D-Led. This is something Coach Gayle talks about all the time. It's about being your authentic self. And I've always seen your career, all the years I've been following you. You've always been your authentic self. So talk about that, even when you was at a corporate paper, being who you are, being fully who you are in that space. And secondly, do you worry about with AI trying to mimic you and take your stories and act as you and not even be you? Is that something that worries you now as you move into the space with AI? Because, people can just fake, maybe a deep faking it, not be you even doing it. So those two-part questions for you, brother.
Yeah, it's tough because we saw that with a lot of the ESPN situation in the last couple of days where, real stuff was happening. And then there was a lot of people putting out fake stuff, talking about, stuff that happened 10 years ago, with Jamil and some stuff like that. And she hadn't been there in 10 years. So how do you unless you're really plugged in and doing some fact checking, how do you know that that was accurate or not, or that was truthful or not, when everything else was going on with Charles Davis and Ryan Clark and those guys? So it's just going to be real hard to do that. But, it could be done. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a scary time, but at the same time, I love the challenge because of people like you, like JR said, that are still staying authentic, true to who you are, true to how, God created you. He put you on earth. You inspired and mentor a lot of people. But my question is, and this is a fascinating conversation because somewhat, if I'm a young person or if I'm a parent, I'm a young person, I'm going to be nervous because you said it more than once, man. AI, I don't like where it's going. So how do you navigate and how do you survive what's happening? Because some things aren't going to change. Like you said, the truth is never going to change. People are always going to want authenticity. So how do you survive this I would say the next 5 to 10 years of, you better be careful because the Malcolm X used to say it, the media will turn a false narrative into a true narrative and turn a true narrative into a false narrative.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach Gayle. And yeah, the authenticity is going to be key moving forward. And then we have to understand our history. I know I've had time over the break here I've been kind of just going back and looking at some of the presidents. They had a big thing on PBS, on LBJ. Did a lot of good with the Great Society. Not so much good with Vietnam. Everybody, Ronald Reagan, the economy, some other issues. Now we looking back at some of them people we thought we couldn't make it through, and look like those are some pretty good situations. We have them in a minute right now. And that's both Daddy Bush and Little Bush. So, and then, of course, we have the Obama administration just opened up the presidential library. So, and you see that authenticity on display with him and his wife. And you see the other side right now in 47. So, people know what they like. They're going to vote with their, hearts moving forward if they don't steal the elections. But, the truthful, my daddy always told me, and I think this will remain true, artificial intelligence or not, the cream will always rise to the top. And so you might get muddled in there a little bit, but at the end of the day, the cream is going to take over and rise to the top. And I always believed that. Even when I was working in Greensboro, North Carolina, I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I was every day that I got to work in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Newport News, Virginia. I knew that wasn't going to be the end. And I just had to keep going and so forth. So that's what I would encourage the kids, keep going. It's like an old basketball player. One of my favorite players was World Be Free because he kept shooting. He kept shooting. He never stopped all the way to the end. So they got to keep shooting. No matter what's out there in front of them, keep running, whatever it is. Keep kicking if you're a soccer player. Just keep going till that ball gets in the goal for you. So it's going to be tough times all the way. And we've made it through some of them. That's when we get to look back and say, like, okay, that wasn't that bad. I know how, I know how it was with Reagan and the administration. We thought it was the end of the world. But now it looks like, okay, we made it through that storm. Let's keep going, make it through these next storms and so forth.
Indeed, it's just something very important because it's the momentum of memory. Like my dad always talked to me about the answers we already had to have that answers. Your ancestors already have done these things. Go back to the past. Right. The past leads you to the present. Right. So I look at older people like Coach Gayle, yourself, who I look up to help me in my journey and keep on going because you all have seen a lot of things and you all are here. And it's following your coattails and we'll be okay. I'm trying to do that for young kids behind me as well. Show them my journey. That I've had some fights. I'm still fighting some fights now. But I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm getting the job done.
Yeah, no doubt. They're going to have to fight. Yeah, and it certainly helps when they do know the history, and the history that not only we and Coach Gayle seen, but stuff that was passed down from our dads, from our uncles, from our cousins, do's and don'ts and things that, make things easier for you and how to operate and navigate through tough times. And so, you doing that for others is the shoulders that they're gonna stand on. Those are the shoulders we're standing on now, and so that's always gonna be good, solid advice. Because everybody don't want to see them succeed. So you're gonna have some headwinds you got to fight through, and that's gonna always be, just gotta keep your head to the sky and keep moving forward.
So, D-Led, I have a question because I know that on my show, I'm big with my faith, and I tell JR all the time, man, there's nothing that I can't navigate without reading the good word. How hard is it for someone that has a strong faith, that has been in corporate media, that's transitioning into independent media, that's trying to navigate this world that has a lot of, like you said, different information coming at them, some misinformation, some disinformation. What does faith have to do with anything, if anything, in today's? And I want to talk about the professional side. I know personal side is one thing, but just the professional side.
Yeah, the thing I keep coming back to is God's plan. I got my plans. I'm gonna have a plan, but that might not be His plan. I thought for sure I would go right over to Morehouse. They had a sports program, and they would hire me because I taught at Georgia and Clark Atlanta. They picked somebody else, so I was like, fine. That was my plan. That wasn't God's plan. I don't know what His is. It'll reveal itself in time, but I'll keep on moving on, walking in faith, knowing that He's got a better plan for me. So it's a better plan than what I had for myself. So that's how I lean on my faith in this profession. Maybe it's maybe the website is gonna blow up. Maybe we don't get enough subscribers, but we put quality work out there, and maybe it doesn't work. I'm not gonna be less faithful because it doesn't. He might want me to be doing something else. He might want me to write books right now. I could do a book on the Michael Vick trial, the Falcons, rise and fall of the Falcons under Matt Ryan. Maybe that's it, but he'll let you know. So you lean on your faith and go with His plan. You need to have your plan too, but sometimes they don't go together. So, but whatever God's plan is, take that and use it and dutifully follow Him and lean on your faith.
No doubt. And having that faith is very important because, when you're independent, like I've been doing this independent thing since 2012, it's a lot of hard days and nights, a lot of fights. I have some fights with some people, D-Led. And I told you that privately. I'm fighting the good fight because, when you don't have the corporate name behind you or the collar, sometimes it's tough for you. And I had to really fight and sell yourself. So talk about that for young people, presenting themselves in the right way, because I've got credentials over the years just by presenting the right way, showing my work, showing what I've done, who I've talked to. Look about kids putting together a portfolio to go out and get credentials or get a job or get where they want to go to in this media business.
Yeah, I learned back in the day at Howard. We had a game at Cheney State, and one of my buddies wanted to go in the game with me. I was on the list. And so I kept my bag and gave him the camera, and we tried to talk our way in. And so they didn't let either one of us in. And when we got back to campus the next day, the sports information director, Lois Clemens, he went to work for the National League Baseball. He was a pretty big time PR guy. He said, "Hey, all you have is your name, and you just messed it up there trying to sneak in the game with your friends. So you have to protect your name, and that's your brand as an individual and how you operate, move in these spaces." And so, from that point on, I wasn't trying to help nobody. Everybody want a free ticket or can you get me in and no, I can't get you. I'm a credential for me. I'm going in there to do my job. and you to do, that would be some advice I would give them. It's your name. How you want to present yourself to the world is, it's different nowadays. Stuff that we did was required of us. It's not required anymore. We see people go to church with blue jeans on. I'm never going to do that. I'm going to have on a suit and I'm having a bow tie when I go to church. Even on casual Sunday, I'm going to still have on a jacket. I might not have a tie. Even on African Day, I'm going to wear my African garb. But I'm not coming to church in some slides and jeans. So I don't know if that's how you want to present yourself. That's acceptable in these worlds now. Fine, but you got to navigate that because people, want to make a good impression, and if that's how your people raised you, then that's maybe that's not. It's maybe it's okay that it's not as strict as it used to be, but I know how we did it, and I'm probably, if I'm hiring you and you show up in some blue jeans and a do-rag, I'm probably not gonna hire you.
Well, I love what you just said, D-Led, because in a couple of episodes, I said, you know what, if you can't be on a team, create your own team. And by the way, I think Bowtie Sports I think God is going to bless that. I was blown away with just the content, the professionalism, and I look forward to this upcoming season with you doing this. And I think the biggest thing is just, what did the Bible start with? Creation. The fact that you created something, the fact that you left a legacy, with your name, with your brand, with you the biggest thing I wanted to do with this show is what you just did. So, my final question for you is just your legacy. You've done so much, you've got so many accolades, but what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, that he helped some people. It was a group of us at Howard together, and some of us were, maybe not so nice to each other, thinking that, hey, I got to get this job because, he's going to be competing for this job. One person even tried to graduate earlier so we wouldn't be looking for a job at the same time. I was like, hey, there's enough out there for everybody. And so, I never had any problem with trying to help anybody, especially, people of color, with advice, a recommendation, a call, whatever we needed to do. They're going to say that, hey, D-Led, he had a good career and he helped people.
Yes, indeed. Well, you definitely helped me, D-Led, all over the years. I thank you for your friendship and your mentorship, and I thank you for coming on the show with me and Coach Gayle again. It was a big hit last time you came on the show, when I know Coach Gayle loves it because you're a coach like he is.
Yeah,
I love everything about you, D-Led. I love everything about you, my man. You look good, by the way, man. God's been good to you.
Thank you, Coach Gayle. Yes, he has. I got to get back to the gym here and get my water workout on because I missed it yesterday to film that show. And I'm going to stay on track. I got 3 water workouts a week for the last 22 weeks. So I got to keep that going. And I really appreciate your kind comments. And good luck to you and your future coaching endeavors. I'm on the sidelines now, but if the young coaches call, I try to help them out.
We appreciate you.
Yes, D-Led. Thank you so much, brother. We'll see you soon, man.
All right, that'd be great. I'd love to see you, boss man. You can tell me more stories about the bird lady and that trip you had over here.
Yes, indeed. 100%.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z. Sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews. You name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.